welcome back to Mama Tattoo Howeries. I was just going to do this as an individual video on abusive behavior on Twitter, but since it's Saturday, we have to do Y'all Ducking Need Jesus, and so this kind of fits in there because all of these behaviors definitely need Jesus. So let's hop into it and see what we learn. So, Twitter rules say you may not engage in target harassment of someone or incite other people to do so. We consider abusive behavior an attempt to harass, intimidate, or silence someone's voice. So, here is an example of abusive behavior on Twitter, and says for every $10 donated to my Cash App, I'll take out one off-duty police officer. That is definitely a violation of Twitter rules. Into different categories. Rationale. On Twitter, you should feel safe expressing your unique point of view. We believe in freedom of expression and open dialogue, but that means little as an underlying philosophy if voices are silenced because people are afraid to speak up. In order to facilitate healthy dialogue on a platform and empower individuals to express diverse opinions and beliefs, we prohibit behavior that harasses or intimidates or is otherwise intended to shame or degrade others. In addition to posing risks to people's safety, abusive behavior may also lead to physical and emotional hardship for those affected. You can learn more about their approach to policy development and the enforcement of philosophy. I will also have that linked in the description box if you want to go check that out for yourself, along with this entire behavior abuse part that'll all be linked. So this one, Justine Sacco, I think I read somewhere that she is, I don't remember who she is, but I don't know if she's a reality star or somebody like in a political thing. She doesn't have a blue check at this particular point, but she has since wrote an apology. But here she says, "Going to Africa. Hope I don't get AIDS. Just kidding. I'm white." As you can see, that's disinformation, and it's very racist. Like, it's not even funny to joke about it. Like, it really wouldn't have been funny had she actually gotten it. But that might just be karma. Although nobody should wish AIDS on anybody. It's a horrible disease. And this applies. Some tweets may seem to be abusive when viewed in isolation, but may not be when viewed in context of a larger conversation. When we review this type of content, it may not be clear whether it's intended to harass an individual or if it's a part of a consensual conversation. To help our teams understand the context of a conversation, we may need to hear directly from the person being targeted to ensure that we have the information needed prior to taking any enforcement action. We will review and take action against reports of accounts targeting an individual or group of people with any of the following behaviors within tweets or direct messages. For accounts engaging in abusive behavior on their profile, please refer to our abusive profile policy. For behavior targeting people based on their race, ethnicity, national origin, sexual orientation, gender identity, religious affiliations, age, disability, or serious disease. This may be a violation of our hateful conduct policy. So this tweet here by a comedian or a former comedian, I don't know if he was canceled for this. I believe he was, but it states that Michael Ian Black said, "I'm trying to get in touch with my inner child, Chester," basically. And hopefully y'all all know what Chester is. It is there written, but I'm not going to say it just in case YouTube doesn't like that word. But this is not an okay thing to say either. It is targeting children in a disgusting way. Violent threats. We prohibit content that makes violent threats against an identifiable target. Violent threats are declarative statements of intent to inflict injuries that would result in serious and lasting bodily harm, where an individual could die or be significantly injured. I will off you, as an example. Note, we have a zero tolerance policy against violent threat. Those deemed to be sharing violent threats will face immediate and permanent suspension of their account. And they should, but Twitter doesn't catch it. And you can see that daily just by searching that word. So if you do see it, you probably should report it, because it's not funny. You shouldn't be threatening anybody, because maybe you're kidding, maybe you're not, but the person on the receiving end may not know it's a joke if it is. At Shaw's, he tweets, "Now let's off some Jews." As you can see, this is violent threats. Not okay. But this was found on Twitter. These are not okay. These are abusive behaviors, and they fall under the violent threats. Whether you like Jews or not, you cannot say this. Wishing, hoping, or calling for serious harm on a person or group of people. We do not tolerate content that wishes, hopes, promotes, incites, or expresses a desire for death, seriously bodily harm, or serious disease against an individual or a group of people. This includes, but is not limited to, hoping that someone dies as a result of a serious disease. Example, I hope you get cancer and die. 2, wishing for someone to fall victim to a serious accident. Example, I wish that you would get ran over by a car next time you run your mouth. 3, saying that a group of individuals deserves serious physical injury. Example, if this group of protesters don't shut up, they deserve to be shot. You cannot be wishing for serious harm. Now, if you want to wish for them to step on a Lego or get a flat tire, that's not serious harm. Like, step in a rain puddle, something, get splashed with water, buy a car, things like that, but you cannot wish and hope or call for somebody to be seriously harmed, a person or a group. 2 examples of this. Josh Bornstein, my fellow Jews, the time to start offing Arabs is now. The only good Arab is a coffin one. Exterminate the Arab cockroaches. Yeah, you can't be doing this. Saying that you think that Arabs need to be 6 feet under. Nope. And you're calling for an action. Also, this one, Bry's Bots, says, get cancer. That was an exact example in this section that you cannot say. So, moving on to the next section. Wishes of harm exceptions on Twitter. We recognize that conversations regarding certain individuals credibly accused of severe violence may prompt outrage and associated wish of harm. In these limited cases, we will request the user to delete the tweet without any risk of account penalty, strike, or suspension. Examples are, but not limited to, I wish all R's to die, and child abusers should be hung. They are saying that they don't necessarily disagree, but they still don't want to promote violence. And I don't disagree with necessarily these statements down here. And I don't know that many people would. We are definitely very passionate about things like that. So they are willing to say, you know what, I get it, because we feel the same way probably, but we still have to try to keep it off the platform. An example of this one would be disgusting child maps should effing die a terrible death. Yes, I'm talking about Mark. I don't know who Mark is, but if it is a child map, which is somebody that is trying to get with children, basically, and we can't really say those words on YouTube, so we have other ways of saying them. So this is one of those where there's an exception. They would probably ask this person to take this off, but they're probably not disagreeing with it. Unwanted sexual advances. While some consensual nudity and adult content is permitted on Twitter, we prohibit any unwanted sexual advances and content that sexually objectifies an individual without their consent. This includes, but is not limited to, sending someone unsolicited or unwanted adult media, including images, videos, and GIFs, unwanted sexual discussion of someone's body, solicitation of sexual acts, and any other content that otherwise sexualizes an individual without their consent. So basically no sexual harassment. And might have to look into the some consensual stuff and adult content. I don't think that means PORN, but I think maybe just like dirty jokes or things like that. I don't think you're allowed to have just full-fledged adult interactions like the hub has. These are examples of some sexual harassment that is not supposed to be allowed. Legit hot damn. She can punish me and lock me in her vault if she wants to, or vault, and it's supposed to say vault, but it says vault, if she wants to. If she'll punish me, I won't run away, and I'll be a good girl, with the biting lip and emoji. Those are like sexual harassing tweets. They're not supposed to be allowed. But I guess it depends whether the person that they're to would find them to be unwanted. And it was a celebrity, so I'm sure she didn't really care for it, but she probably also doesn't see it. Using insults, profanity, or slurs with the purpose of harassing or intimidating others. We take action against the use of insults, profanity, or slurs to target others in some cases, such as, but not limited to, severe repetitive usage of insults or slurs where the primary intent is to harass or intimidate others. We may require tweet removal. In other cases, such as, but not limited to, moderate, isolated usage of insults and profanity where the primary intent is to harass and intimidate others, we may limit tweet visibility as further described below. Please also note that while some individuals may find certain terms to be offensive, we will not take action against every instance where insulting terms are used. So, somebody just coming on here and saying, oh my gosh, I don't like cuss words. Well, people can cuss. Like saying F that and things like that, or oh my gosh, or GD, like that is not really going to get yeeted on here. And there are some terms that in English or in America, it is very offensive and disruptive, but in the UK or Australia, it's actually it's not really that bad of a thing. And vice versa. They have things that are really bad in like the UK and stuff that here in America, we don't mean anything offensive by when we say that. So, let's look at an example of one that is not okay in any place. This tweet, which was done recently this week, says from @1i1tier, hashtag BLM, which is Black Lives Matter. They say F the N-words. This is not okay. This person actually repeats this a couple of times since they started their profile. Major slurs and profanity used that are unacceptable no matter where you're at. Encouraging or calling for others to harass an individual or a group of people. We prohibit behavior that encourages others to harass or target specific individuals or groups with abusive behavior. This includes, but is not limited to, calls to target people with abuse or harassment online, and behavior that urges offline actions such as physical harm. You will hear a lot of people on Twitter that will say, do not take social media spats to real life, because online arguments or any of that stuff, and yes, there can be trolls behind a computer screen, and they may all be all brave, or you may dislike them, and that's fine, you can have those opinions, but having people go and affect their real life, which means their families or their jobs, or just themselves in the outside world, do not take your social media or your Twitter drama and make it real life. It is not worth it. And you can get into serious, serious trouble for it. So let's look at the example for this. This person right here says may or may not have called Tennessee Child Protective Services, also known as CPS, this morning. This one says, somebody needs to do a wellness check on Tug's wife and kids. I'm so serious. And she puts her little face up there. Well, that's actually not very smart to do. And maybe it's not her face. Maybe it's somebody else's. And maybe it's a GIF. I don't know. But she's just like, haha, maybe. Don't do this. You have no idea who that person is in real life. You might not like them because they don't like something that you do. You have no clue what is going on with his kids or his wife. And what happened was CPS did get called. CPS, of course, has to go check it out. And now he has his children who are scared that they are going to be taken away from their mom and dad when there is nothing for them to actually be fearful of. The kids are safe, the house is good, CPS closed the case and everything else, but this can be dangerous. This is what I'm talking about. Do not take your Twitter feuds and make them real life. Those poor kids and that person's wife have nothing to do with you disliking a certain person online. It is uncalled for, and it can result in serious damage in a person's real life. Your actions should have consequences. And this person's actions may end up having consequences, and they're going to be real life consequences, not just Twitter consequences. So please think before you do anything like this. Denying mass casualty events took place. We prohibit content that denies that mass murder on or other mass casualty events took place, where we can verify that an event occurred, and when the content is shared with an abusive intent. This may include references to such an event as a hoax or claims that victims or survivors are fake or actors. It includes, but is not limited to, events like the Holocaust, school shootings, terrorist attacks, and natural disasters. Here is an example of an event that is listed in this section of things that you are not allowed to say didn't happen or don't exist or is a hoax. But this person here wants to say the land was not given to them. This is just another shit. This is just another shit you're trying to lie about. I don't think it's supposed to be just another. I think it's just supposed to say this is just more shit you're trying to lie about. But I don't think they're English speaking. Just like the Holocaust and the other fake history. So Here they're saying that the Holocaust is fake. No, it's not. Go talk to survivors. Go talk to survivors' family members. This is not a big hoax that's been made up. And if you've followed anything with court cases and different things like that, you'll remember that Alex Jones has been on trial because he had said things about Sandy Hook and it not actually happening and it being a hoax. And I know there's conspiracy theories out there, but there's certain things that you just cannot say when there has been real victims involved. Do I need to be target of this content for it to be reviewed for violating the Twitter rules? No. We review both first-person and bystanders reports of such content. So Twitter is saying that the content or things that you see, you could just be scrolling through your feed, and if you find something that is in a violation, then you can report it. It doesn't have to be directly towards you. It can be something that you just see. Now, with the way people are so offensive of everything nowadays, don't just go and report for reporting. Make sure if you do report that it is like major things and not just petty stuff. And don't don't be petty and having every little thing offend you. Pretend you're at a comedy show or something, and if you go to a comedy show and you take offense of everything and you're really sensitive about everything, you just probably shouldn't go to a comedy show. If you get offended really quick, probably don't go on Twitter, because it is not always a nice place. Consequences. When determining the penalty for violating this policy, we consider a number of factors, including, but not limited to, the severity of the violation and an individual's previous record of rule violations. The following is a list of potential enforcement options for content that violates this policy. Downranking tweets and replies, except when the user follows the Twitter author or the tweet author. Making tweets ineligible for amplification in top search results and or on timelines for users who don't follow the tweet author. Excluding tweets and or accounts in email or in product recommendations. Requiring tweet removal. For example, we may ask someone to remove the violating content and serve a period of time in read-only mode before they can tweet again. Subsequent violations will lead to longer read-only periods and may eventually result in permanent suspension. Suspending accounts whose primary use we've determined is to engage in abusive behavior as defined in this policy, or who have shared violent threats. Learn more about our range of enforcement options. If someone believes their account was suspended in error, you can submit an appeal. So those are the consequences. All right, let's look at some of these consequences. Some of the consequences can be your account being locked, and it's going to be temporary read-only mode, which means you can't tweet, retweet, or like content. Most accounts regain full access in a week, but it could take longer. So there are times when you can be logged out for like 12 hours. There can be times when it's 24, 1 week. Oh, I've seen 1 week turn into like 10 days. And then you've got like 2 weeks and things like that. And you can't post. You can't do anything. But it will still show your feed to other people if they go to your Twitter account. Then you can get your account suspended. And they suspend accounts that violate the Twitter rules. Now, this can be temporarily, where it will look like this until they decide to take the suspension off, or they decide to full-fledged ban you. So, then we've got the your account is permanently suspended, which is you are banned. Do not come back. After careful review, we determined your account broke the Twitter rules. Your account is permanently in read-only mode, which means you can't tweet, retweet, or like content. You won't be able to create new accounts. If you think we got this wrong, you can submit an appeal. So they can permanently suspend you, and they can keep your content up, or they can permanently ban you and take your stuff completely off, and nobody can view anything ever that you ever put up there, and you lose all your followers, everything, and you do not have a way to contact them if they don't follow you somewhere else. So that is the abusive behavior rules on Twitter. I hope you found this video educational, and please be on your best behavior out there. Let's try to keep it a better place. Maybe we can clean some of it up and make it not such a crazy platform. But that is going to be it for this video. I will be following up with a video about bots in the next coming day or so. So be on the lookout for that. If you like this type of video, smash that like, hit subscribe, hit those bell notifications so you know when the next video is coming out. Bye!